Hello, beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It is a beautiful day in the far north of Maine, up along the Canadian border. The leaves are have turned, and are dropping from the trees now in the crown of Maine. I hope everyone is having a beautiful fall day wherever you may be. I'll be having a day filled with fabulosity and dang good coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, I am all fired up today because yesterday we found out that the Biden-Harris administration is giving every one of the survivors of the hurricane $750. Yeah, let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, while Biden-Harris can send billions of dollars to Ukraine, they can only give $750 to the victims of the hurricane. These victims are completely devastated. They've lost their homes and every single thing in it. They've lost their vehicles. They have lost their jobs because buildings have been washed away. Buildings where people worked. These folks have nothing. And all Biden-Harris can come up with is $750 per victim. Do better, Biden-Harris. Do better. I would rather see my damn tax dollars go to those affected by the hurricane than go to Ukraine. So let's start giving. Let's start being charitable to the citizens of the United States of America before we give charity to the war machine. Because that's all that happens when they give funding to the war, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. I know you know this, but I got to say it for the new folks. When these aid packages go overseas to like Ukraine, all it is a way to launder money. The money comes back to the United States and in the pockets of those that make the weaponry to fight the proxy war. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, there is so much devastation down south with this hurricane. It just blows my mind. $750. That's all Biden-Harris can come up with. You know, Kamala, you could actually match that $750 with some funds that you have received from your campaign PACs. Why don't you just give a little more? People don't want to give. These people don't want to give. They come in under a totalitarian effort of help. You see, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, they, being the government officials that have arrived in the hurricane zone, are now turning away U-Hauls, pickup trucks, vans, cars that are there to aid the victims of the hurricane. Regular citizens like you and like me who have donated non-perishable items. Citizens like you and like me who know people who are driving U-Hauls from their area clear down the East Coast are arriving in the hurricane affected areas at the drop-off stations. And it is being reported now that the drop-off stations can no longer accept those items. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are vendors. Disaster's big business, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. So there are vendors that the government uses. There's a lot of money on the line. The more free supplies that come in, the less the government has to purchase from the vendors. The vendors don't like that. The vendors have contracts to service the devastation. And they ain't doing so well. You might think for people who have had their whole lives ripped away from them in the floodwaters, you might think that it wouldn't matter where the supplies come from to help restore just a small amount of the victim's dignity and meet their basic needs. But nay, we can't do that because it affects the vendors, and the vendors need to make all the money that they can on the situation. FEMA is also out of money, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. They cannot do another hurricane this year. The hurricane funding is used up. Why? Because FEMA has been steadily giving to the illegal criminal element that comes over our southern border and our northern border. We have to make this very clear. They're coming over in droves on the southern border, but they are also coming over in record numbers on the northern border, just in our area. The far north of Maine, 15 minutes from Canada, our illegal criminal crossings are up 170%. That's a big number. That is a huge number. And most of them are going to New York. FEMA exhausted all of their hurricane funding to supply the criminal illegal element coming into this country with food, with housing, with debit cards, with cell phones, and in some instances, with goddamn PlayStations. It's a mess, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. It is an absolute mess what is going on in our country today. And I fear the mess is going to continue. There are 31 days until Election Day in the US of A. We get to vote on November 5th. I encourage each and every one of my listeners to go to the store, buy a few extra cans of something that your family would eat, because I think things are going to get pretty dicey as we lead up to the election and after the votes are in. I hope and I pray for an honest election, a good election, a fair election. I hope and I pray that there is no wild aftermath once the votes are counted. But I do encourage everybody to build up your pantry. The longshoremen are off of strike. The strike has been paused. People ransacked the Costco's all up and down the East Coast. It looked like 2020 all over again. They was buying the toilet paper again. By the way, toilet paper is made in the US of A, just so that you know. Oh, people exhaust me, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. People absolutely can be numb at times. Let me tell you, if there's going to be another shortage in the world, the last thing I'm getting is toilet paper. There's plenty of leaves in my great Outback that I can use to wipe my butt end. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, you might have thought people learned from 2020, but they did not. I have seen picture after picture. Maybe we'll make a montage and stick it at the end of the video. I have seen picture after picture of people with loaded carts coming out of the Costco full of toilet paper and paper towels. Get yourself 5 extra cans this week at the grocery store. Don't tell me that you can't afford it. Put the dang chips back on the shelf. Put the dip back on the shelf. Put the cookies back on the shelf. Get yourself 5 extra cans. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, my videos are plummeting to the bottom of the algorithm because I will not comply. I will not comply with Facebook wanting me to do DIYs, shopping hauls, They don't want me talking about this stuff. And they are making sure that all of my videos that represent real news, the current goings on in the world, are being dropped to the bottom of the algorithm. So I am asking you to please like and share this video. Share it with a friend. The more shares we get, the higher up in the algorithm this channel becomes. I am not monetized. I'm not asking for views for money. I'm asking for views because the information needs to get out there to people. The information about what's going on overseas, what's going on in this country, what's going on with the nonsense of FEMA, the nonsense of the Biden-Harris administration. It is hyphenated, as much as she doesn't want it to be. We need to get people to understand the shenanigans that are going on in the world. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, think about subscribing. I really do want to earn your subscription. So if you think I've done a good job today, please subscribe to my channel. I am very happy to have you aboard. Comment in the comment section below. We have great conversations in my comment section. You can have any opinion that you want. We can have a civil discussion about it because your opinion's not right, my opinion's not right. It's just how we are perceiving a certain subject. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, thank you for joining me today. As always, Carpe Diem. Seize your day, because no one promised you a tomorrow.